YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Social Justice Water Pipe here. We are live in Cranford again for another dance party protest. This is dance party protest number 9. So we will get into it. We'll see what is in store for us. And the meeting's going to be starting soon. We are only a couple minutes away from the start at 7:57. And in a couple minutes, the meeting will be called to order, and we will record and we will document everything. We will make sure that we have a preserved documentation of everything that transpires. A little recap for everybody. So Cranford here, they amended their bylaws. You're not allowed to leave the podium. You're not allowed to use the sound system. Things that they've actively tried to specifically stop Will Thilly from participating during public comments in the manner in which he chooses. A lot of people with this issue, have been voicing their opinions. The people who do not agree with it express themselves in that manner. And I support people's right to be able to express themselves when they disagree. That's what all this is about. So you don't have to like it. That's not the point. You don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to love it. And I have a problem even using the word allowed, because it doesn't need to be allowed. The First Amendment needs no permission, So all they have to do is just give the man his 5 minutes, and then we just move on. It's that simple. But at this point, I don't know how many consecutive meetings it's been that they've decided to call a recess during his time. And they continually violate his rights by doing that. So we just got here, and the meeting will be starting shortly. I got to actually go to the bathroom real quick. So I'm going to leave my phone just for a second. Just post it up and filming this way. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back.
We got it clear. Yes. Of course. No, I'm not there for people. I'm there for military things. Yes, I am. I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to make sure. You don't want to be here for something over there. You're here, I'll do that.
And there's the man himself, Will Thilly, the legendary Will Thilly. They love you, Will. There he is. There's the man, Mr. Thilly himself. All right, so let's get ourselves ready to get set up. Let's just do this for a minute. And give me a second. Okay. Getting ready here.
You're gonna No, maybe.
All right. So let's do a little sign-in. Show the sign-in sheet.
Like, yeah, I went through this whole conversation with my social worker.
Mm-hmm.
If he continues the audio, then there should be consequences.
But this is important. That's what I kind of feel. No one's in trouble. You know what I mean? This was important, and it was like someone needed to determine whether or not.
And maybe you should have a conversation with I'll be here for me.
But you know what I
You should
mean?
have a conversation with
But I just want you to remember we're not in court. No one's in trouble. You know what I mean?
if he does the audio, then you should talk to my social worker.
Well, they'll deal with it, however it goes down. But I wouldn't worry about it. All right, so we're just getting ready here. The dance party isn't just a protest. It's the vibe of a movement. When they decide to start answering questions and have communication with the public, maybe the public will give a little bit of respect back. But until they're willing to do so, you know, there's a problem. All right, so the nice ladies, they were just reading my shirt. They were checking out. Let me show you guys my shirt. I didn't even show you guys yet. So the front says, the dance party isn't just a protest. It's the vibe of a movement. And then on the back, it says, you ignore us, we will ignore you. So as the committee has in their bylaws that they are not required to answer any questions, what's the point of even having a public comment portion? So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it in just a minute.
What? Let's review the other. What do you think? Cover review it? Cover review it? Review the let me review with Patricia.
I have.
Oh, we got each other. Once it goes up, we won't say a word. I just want to see Lots of recollections. It's on. I'll just read the order here. I've got each other. I've read the third. I've got the word. I'm gonna get the recollection of the code on here. If we read it, go up and we should order it. It's okay. I haven't certainly been in favor.
Yes, I'm ready, yeah.
Here. iPad, that, you got it, I got it back. Unless you have a roll call, I'm turning the roll call. It is roll call. Agenda, you don't know. Rest of the night, new club, would be good thing. We don't know. What happens? Let's go.
This is the official meeting of the Township Committee of February 17th, 2026. This meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. That's adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by email regarding the scheduled meetings to the Westfield Leader, the Union County Local Source, the Star Ledger, and Tackett Cranford by posting such annual meeting schedule on the bulletin board in the municipal building reserved for such announcements, and filing said notice with the Township Clerk of Cranford. Formal action will be taken at this meeting. Roll call. Mayor Will Thilly here. Deputy Mayor Gallo.
Here.
Commissioner Andrews.
Here.
Commissioner Curran.
Here.
Commissioner Black. Here. I'm going to ask Reverend Brooks to come up. I just want to share a few words about Reverend Dr. Deborah Brooks, who will give you an indication. She grew up on Hayes Street and still lives in Cranford. She worked for PSC&G for 30 years before retiring. Except she didn't retire. She went on to get her master's in divinity and then her doctorate in ministry from Drew University. And she spent 25 years as pastor at St. Mark's AME Church on High Street and as a member of the Cranford Clergy Council. And just recently, she organized a rousing and really wonderful celebration of Martin Luther King Day at St. Mark's Church. Just something. Reverend Brooks is retiring up now. For good, she says. We'll see. So we want to thank her for her service to Cranford and to St. Mark's Church. Thank you. Stand for the invocation and remain standing for the flag.
Let us pray. Almighty and knowing God, we come before you with thanksgiving in our hearts and praise on our lips. We are truly thankful for this day, today you made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you for all of these elected officials who have given of their time and their talent to serve their community. Lord God, we just ask that you continue to bless them and that you continue to use them for our good and for your glory. Lord God, we thank you for all that has already been in this day and all that is still yet to come. We thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a few items on the agenda, ordinances and resolutions concerning our affordable housing plan. Just to be clear, these ordinances and resolutions do not change the agreement that was reached unanimously by this township committee and approved. Nor does it indicate that there are projects being I'm going to take it, I'm going to ask our township attorney, Slattery, to just give you a brief overview of what these resolutions and ordinances are.
Sure, thanks, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. So on the agenda tonight are ordinances number 2026-06, 7, and 8, and resolution number 2026-118 related to affordable housing. Ordinances 2026-06 and 07 are formal model ordinances that are required in order for us to comply with our round 4 affordable housing obligations. So just about every town in the state will pass something that's either identical or very similar to these in order to comply with the amendments to the Fair Housing Act that was passed a couple years ago. Ordinance 2026-08 amends our specific code with respect to the overlay districts that exist, the downtown transition overlay and the Park Street overlay. So for those of you who were engaging in the discussion on those, particularly during the summer last year, the Township Committee decided to expand 2 of our overlay districts to meet our affordable housing obligation. This will codify those changes. So these 3 ordinances, they are effectively codifying the agreement that we came to with Fair Share that's been preliminarily approved by the courts. We'll go back in front of the courts sometime in March or April to show that we are complying with what we said we would do, and these 3 ordinances are a step in that direction. Resolution 2026-118 is an intent to bond in the event that there's a shortfall in funding for affordable housing. So effectively, it brings us into compliance with new regulations regarding the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And that's it, Mayor. Thanks.
Public safety.
Thank you, Mayor. So the weather is probably getting warmer out there a little bit, thankfully. Some of the snow ice is melting. So with that said, please be mindful. Think about skating in holiday lakes, ponds, or still bodies of water. Please never skate on moving bodies of water, such as the right-of-way road, which is not safe, and we want to keep everybody safe and happy. Kudos to Officer Jack Rosaneski and Officer Liam Duffy on the recent motor vehicle stop that found a loaded semi-automatic handgun and narcotics, to which the driver was taken into custody with items. Cranford Police Department is reformatting its arrest warrant to a monthly report available at the end of each month. This will complement the special press releases that are periodically issued for noteworthy arrests or events. The January report was just posted this morning, if you want to check that out. Cranford Police Department is about to launch a lateral hire recruitment process to develop a list of eligible PTC certified candidates to hire from when looking for retirements to occur in 2026. For all details on these potential positions, please be sure to follow CDP's various social media platforms. Some of these PTC candidates are some of our great officers from other municipalities, other departments. I've seen a few come here and have done it well. So if you know anyone that's looking to perhaps make a transfer, please keep them posted on these positions. As a reminder, Cranford Fire Department asked all residents to show they have a working carbon monoxide detector. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, more than 400 U.S. citizens die each year from accidental carbon monoxide poisoning. Common sources include home heating devices, cooking equipment, as well as vehicles and generators running inside an attached garage. Early detection is key to surviving serious poisoning, so please ensure you have your carbon monoxide detectors in any sleeping rooms. Residents can call fire headquarters at 908-709-7360 for free smoke and carbon monoxide detector inspection.
Recreation Parks.
Just a couple of quick things. There is a high school ski trip planned for this weekend. You can still sign up before the weekend. The Bagels and Bingos is next Tuesday, so hope to see a lot of seniors out on the 24th. And there's a boys middle school volleyball league that's going to be starting up. So just look out for that on the recreation website. There's also a resolution on awarding Collier's contract to start planning for the concrete work and the repaving of the parking lot over at our pool. We've been working weekly to meet to discuss the upgrades that need to be done, and as those come up, and move forward, we'll talk more about those.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few updates from you tonight. One, we've heard from a number of residents about the food waste recycling program at the Conservation Center. I am a user myself, and the pickup of that, the food waste has been spotty since the large snowstorm. We've also been to hamstrung only having one bin, which is also often overflowing, creating an issue for folks who are getting that close to the time the Conservation Center is closing. They have done a pickup, and so it is relatively empty now. But we're working with our Department of Public Works and other vendors to see what can we do to increase reliability as well as add a second bin. I'm hoping to have a more substantial update on it at our next meeting, but I did want to flag it because we have heard from residents about it. It's something that we are working on a solution for. Second, I'm sure Commissioner Black will have a lot to say on the budget meeting, but I did want to thank the resident. We had one resident show up bright and early, 8:30 in the morning on Saturday, during the long weekend. And he addressed what I believe to be urgent engineering need in town, which is specifically around the Burnside and Johnson areas where they're seeing a disproportionate amount of flooding. That is part of our request list going in. Obviously, we're going to be whittling this down, but I do think that this is an urgent need. I appreciate the residents in the area coming, speaking vocally about it. It's certainly on our radar screen. The next step would be, if this board agrees, to fund a substantial study that will look at what are the causes of the flash flooding that they have in the area, and what are some of the steps that we can begin to take on our own property, as well as talking to our friends up in Cranford, because a lot of the water is kind of starting there and then flowing down in the brook. So hopefully more on that. But this is just one more step in what we're doing to try to address flooding in town. We're making progress on home buyouts. I don't know if the administrators can have an update or her comments, but that's very promising, as well as the enhanced maintenance we're doing, upgrading our equipment. So this will be more, I think, substantial investment we make. Third and finally for me, I did want to touch on snow clearing. Obviously, we've gotten a lot of feedback, and it's very helpful. I appreciate the Department of Public Works moving so quickly when they hear the concern to go and address it even now. I'd say there's been some confusion at times over who is responsible for which areas, which is understandable. Some parts of our town are covered by the state, some parts are covered by the county, some parts are responsible for the township. The Board of Ed has responsibilities, they're their locations. And so what we're doing, what the administrator's leading, is an effort to make sure we get on paper exactly who's responsible for what areas. My preference, and this will be something we'll talk about, is that become a publicly available document to help. Because even just our last meeting or 2 meetings ago, a resident came during a workshop and said, hey, I think this area is unsafe, I'm not totally sure who's responsible. And it ended up being the county. And once we alerted them, they were there the very next morning to clear it away. But people don't always know who's responsible for what in town, and hopefully this will help empower residents to know how to seek redress when they do see concerns or issues. That's it. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, budget recap. As you all probably know or don't know, we spent our last Saturday 5 hours plus discussing the budget for 2026. I just want to thank the administrator, the finance department, all the department heads for the work that they put in to present their budget. I would say that they were all very frugal in their budgets as much as possible. We really saw mostly flat budgets. So we'll continue to have discussions on some of the details that we heard on Saturday. Also discussing in further detail items of revenue as well as capital projects. We still have a lot of discussion there to decide what projects we can actually fund this year. So those will be ongoing in our workshop meetings as well as you'll start to hear some here as well. I also hope to have an informational forum to be televised on TV 35. By the way, the full 5 hours, if you so wish to see every last minute of it. It will be retelevised. It has been televised several times. Unfortunately, it was not able to be live due to lack of resources, conflicting resources, I should say. It has been televised several times. It will be retelevised. It is on the schedule for tomorrow, Thursday at 11 a.m. So good 5 hours. But again, I hope to have a forum first week of March-ish to
health insurance. If you've been seeing any budget reporting in any other town around us in the state of New Jersey, you know that insurance costs are a big hit for towns, for all municipalities. We did remove ourselves from the state health benefits this year. We still saw increases, a slightly less than the state insurance plans, but hopefully next year we're in a healthier pool, so we will be able to level off on those increases. The one piece of slightly good news here is that our sewer fees, our sewer bill is flat this year, and that's good news for us. In the past year, that's been another hit for us. We still are a little bit under, I would say, in our collection. Our sewer fees are making up only a portion of that. We still have another 600,000-ish to make up in the general budget, but that's actually really good news that we did not go up any further. So again, I will try to keep everybody posted. If you have any questions about the budget that you would like to see addressed, or that or any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Yes, Mayor, I just wanted to let everybody know, I almost that resolution number 2026-142 will be updated tomorrow with the correct URL for the legal notices. And we'll put one line in there with the information that I received at the workshop meeting, saying the new legal notice URL, which was a result of the website being migrated. So thank you, everybody. Leonard? Good evening. I'd like to echo Commissioner Black mentioned on Saturday. I also wanted to thank the also thanks for attending this meeting. 5 hours and 27 minutes is a long time. We still a full 2024 and our students to our debt ratio is lower, our net valuation is up. So this is a good start. I'm not saying we're not going to have challenges this year. The ground where we ended up here, so we'll have to see that. As far as our buyouts, all 5 homes are vacant right now, and 500 will be other. And then we can start looking for the county for grant $6.1 million if they are on funding in order to move forward with the renovation. So this is all the things for. Before I open to public comment, I want to reiterate that this township committee welcomes but to ensure that those meetings are run efficiently, fairly, and respectfully. Everyone in the room. There are guidelines. And those guidelines are part of the bylaws that were recently adopted at our last meeting. These guidelines require copies at the podium. But I want to point out 2 particular items that this must address the township from the podium, any signs, props, etc. Amplifiers, bullhorns, megaphones, noise makers, whistles, any sound similar to sound producing. Respect those. Pursuant to the code of the township of Cranford, Article 1, Section 72-4, persons addressing the township committee shall be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes.
Hi, Rita Labruto, 104 Arlington Road. So we talked about the pools in the workshop, and I don't want to sound ungrateful by any means, but, um, and I understand that there's a lot of neglect there. And it looks like the 750 plus is covering all the things that have been neglected over the years. And my concern is the approach, because it's kind of like putting lipstick on a pig. You have all these, they're cosmetics, things that have been neglected, but there's really no assessment. I haven't heard that there's going to be any assessment of the actual pool structure itself. And by that, I mean an actual, not the one who, is going to just paint and resurface the bottom of the pool, but an engineer, an aquatic engineer, that would actually assess both pools and decide which pool will carry us into the future. My concern is you do this cosmetic stuff, you paint the pool, you fix a crack, and then in 2 years, there's a major problem there. And we went ahead and repurposed Centennial Pool, and now we have a major problem at Orange, and then we're not going to have any pool at all. So my approach would have been to, again, have an engineer, one who's specific to resort type of pools, assess each pool, decide which one needed the least amount of work and would carry you into the next 5 or 10 years and would better serve the community before we go and, dump 750 into reseeding, fixing fences. Again, it's all cosmetic stuff. We're still going to end up with a bathroom that isn't ADA, but Centennial has a bathroom that's ADA. We talked about like how much is being taken out of the Children's Recreation Trust. I mean, the swings and playground there needs work. And I don't think it's necessarily, and maybe because I have a grandson now, that, it's that we should be taking money out of the Children's Recreation Trust Fund. I mean, at least tell us how much we're taking out of there. I don't know if we're taking any money out of the $1.3 million budget for these improvements, because registration came out today and the hours are not extended, as the pool advisory presentation said on December 18th. We're not extended past Labor Day. We're not going to have the pool during school time, which is what the pool advisory said. There was talk at the first pool advisory meeting of wanting an intermediate pool at Orange, because we can't do swim team and have meets at Orange the way it is right now. We have an intermediate pool, folks, at Centennial. So it looks like we're trying to recreate Centennial at Orange. So I'm just saying maybe we should just pump the brakes, have an engineer look at both pools, and keep the pool that will service this community into the future. And not just short term, 2 years, like I said, put paint on something, but something that will go in for the next minimum 10 years. Because I don't know of any communities that are out there building pools right now. I mean, except for Plainfield, they got a $10 million grant, but we sure as heck don't have $10 million, right, hanging around. We're going to put a pool in. So, I mean, one of the things I guess I saw in the registration today is that the diving and the slide area would be open only if there was staff available. But how could we not have staff? I mean, wasn't the whole idea of going to one pool that we would have a couple of $100,000 extra to use for staff? So, I mean, a slide is, something obviously that the kids want. So I'm done. Okay. I think we should put the Boy Scout in charge of the pool. He was pretty good. Um, And the other, just quickly, can you put the improvements and the minutes and all of that on the pool advisory website and any meeting dates? Because that would be helpful. Thank you.
So I would argue that not everything, when you're upgrading electric, that's part of it. And concrete work. Part of the cosmetic safety issue. And we do not agree. As far as the hours, in school is, open, that's been the case for a long time. It's open on weekends. And then it open full time. The diving tour, that's just to cover in case. Enough staff, but typically there would be staff there for those facilities. Necessities. Any other public comment?
Can I turn this on? Or is it on? Okay. Hi, my name is Stephen Dunn, 107 Severn Court. I just have 3 things I wanted to comment on. First, the pools. I know you guys have spent a lot of time. I just want to share my personal experience. I've never belonged to a public pool before my whole life until last year. And my mom had a pool growing up, so we were there all the time. Never saw a need until last year when we joined the pool and we were new to town. And we lived close to the Centennial Lab pool, so it was bikeable, walkable, and convenient. So this year I'm not joining the pools because of the 2-mile trip across town, not safe or pleasant to bike there. And if you know me, I try not to drive places. So I just really hope we can find a way to get it back open because I think it's an asset to the community, not a liability. I know some of the arguments against it were that no other town has 2 pools. I think that's a good thing. That's what set Cranford apart. And Cranford is set apart for a lot of reasons. And one of the reasons is the community. And by losing that pool, we lose a part of the community. So I hope we can find a way to bring it back. Second, the e-bike ordinance that was passed last year, I expressed my displeasure with it, but also I just wanted to say thank you to Chief Nazaro. We had a good dialogue, and I think a better product came out in the end because we were able to talk and listen. And I hope you may have seen that the state has really taken the sledgehammer to kill a fly with their new laws. It's really frustrating to me personally. There was a 13-year-old boy named Nico who was killed in Scotch Plains. That was not an e-bike, it was an e-moto. That was basically a motorcycle, and it was already illegal under 2019 state law. If that law had been enforced at the point of sale like it should have been, he never would have been on that bike and he would be alive. Now, instead of addressing that, we've made it hard for people like me to ride my kids around in my class 2 e-bike that is speed limit of 20 miles an hour. So I hope you'll join me. I've already reached out to Senator Tari's office. I hope you'll join me in trying to amend that law to be more reasonable because it's really unreasonable as it sits. And finally, I have been proudly telling people that Cranford has one of only 3 bike lanes in Union County on public roads. However, I will now have to amend my statements because I realized it's not a bike lane on Chester Lang. It's just a shoulder with some paint. And I marked on my calendar that the hearing for the ordinance to ban parking was going to be today, but I understand it's been tabled. And I just want to express my support for places where there's no parking on public roads where we can bike. Because if you spend any time getting around by bike, you know that parked cars are your biggest hazard. What happens is you have to go around the car, you have to worry about getting doored and getting squished by traffic. So that's just one small piece. And also I just wanted to point out the Federal Highway Safety Administration recognizes even painted bike lanes as a proven safety countermeasure. What it does is it optically narrows the roadway and makes you feel like you're supposed to go slower. And also, if it's not just paint and we want to worry about calming traffic, there are simple measures and cheap measures we can take, like flexible delineator posts. We can actually even narrow the driving lane to 10 feet. NACO Cities recommends 10 feet for areas like ours instead of the 11 or 12 that might already be there. So I'm disappointed that it's not on the agenda for hearing tonight, but I just wanted to express my support for bike infrastructure and more places where cars don't have reign over everything, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. If you spend some time riding the bike around, you have, it can be a lot better. So I hope we can move forward with more bike lanes and more parking restrictions on it. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thilly, if that's a speaker, please do not.
I'm thinking about, I got a soapbox, we know that's about public speaking. And, you know, I've been holding a protest, nothing personal, just for all the residents across the state and the country. A referendum on government in general. And, you know, we've been debating free speech. And, you know, we humans, we communicate with words. This is how we communicate data. But, you know, I've been thinking, what is music? Why did humans invent music? And I realized this is how we communicate feeling. Primal screaming, really show a love song to somebody. This is how we communicate emotions. They can't be put into words. Right? Sometimes words aren't enough.
I've been giving your voice after this now,
back in session. The members of the public who are here or watching on TV 35. I regret that we have to sit through meetings that are disruptive, when in fact everyone here is invited to come to the podium and address the township committee with your concerns, your complaints, your ideas. We have rules, as I stated earlier, so that the meetings are conducted in an orderly fashion, because we are here for public business. This isn't a nightclub, it's not a comedy club or karaoke. We are here on official business. Anyone else wish to address the public?
Can't seem to get to the podium.
Slide the podium.
Thank you. Good evening, council. Can you hear me? I am El Rampador. I'm with Sativa Cross, a 501c3, fight for cannabis patients' rights and for disability rights. I want to talk about all the snow that we see piled up in the disabled parking spots all over. It's absolutely horrible. This year, I've seen more than ever. I've taken pictures everywhere. I've taken pictures at McDonald's, AutoZone, all kinds of big box places that don't seem to care about disabled vets, cancer patients, MS patients. Anyone who's in a wheelchair can go screw themselves in the snow, because they put the huge piles of snow right in the disabled parking. I mean, what kind of energy is that? It's disgusting. And I see it all over New Jersey, the ableism from the government, from both parties, from the Democrats and the Republicans. They don't give a crap about disabled vets. You got the Cannabis Regulatory Commission that has dispensaries without wheelchair access, lounges without wheelchair access. This industry was built on the backs of sick, dying, and disabled people. They made $2 billion in recreational money, but yet we can't get wheelchair access for disabled vets at every dispensary in New Jersey. That's too much to ask. Unbelievable. Then you have the urban enterprise zones where you get tax breaks. But if you're in a wheelchair, you don't get those same tax breaks because you can't get in those steps. And that step is the same thing as saying no blacks, no Irish, no gays. It's saying no wheelchairs, but you don't need a sign. All you need is that step. That step is a sign. That step is a wall. That step is telling wheelchairs to get the hell out of here. Keep your cancer home. You're not wanted here in your wheelchair. Stay out of here. Get the hell out of here. That's what it's telling wheelchairs. And you say, well, we don't see people in wheelchairs. Nobody comes in our store. That's because they're not going to stop, because you have no access. What are they going to do? Crawl up and say, hey, can you open the door? I've seen police stations with no access where you have to actually, there's nowhere to knock. There's no window. There's nothing. There's no bell. South Amboy. Google it. Go on Google Maps. Look at South Amboy Police Station. It's a shit show. This is how they treat disabled vets and cancer patients here in New Jersey. No disability access at the dispensaries. We can't get home grow. We try to get the CRC to help us with home grow. It's not in our purview. We try to get them to help with wheelchair access. Not in our purview. Actually, I get no answer for that because they know they're wrong. They don't care. But yeah, we need home grow for sick and dying disabled people too. They made $2 billion last year, and we can't grow a plant. Some lady went to jail for 6 years for 10 plants, 11 plants in Atlantic City last week. What are we doing here? And those laws affect black and brown people disproportionately. When I was protesting outside Senator Scutari's office a few years ago, people were coming up to you, why are you protesting? Weed's legal. I'm growing weed in my house. I said, no, don't tell anybody you're growing weed. It's not legal to grow weed. Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, well, people don't know you can't grow weed here. And you can't get no weed here in Cranford. I don't know why there's a tax on cannabis here in Cranford. You can't get no weed here in Cranford. So we end every podcast with a list of all our friends and family who have died. And we end it with a ode to remembrance. And it's appropriate for tonight for Will, because they went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady in the glow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you. And I'm still stuck back here behind this podium. This is really bad for people in wheelchairs right here, because I don't know how to, I mean, yeah, this is not access. I have to ask permission to leave. I don't appreciate that.
Sir, I'm not aware of any. Oh, but if you see them, we appreciate it.
And can you tell me the name of your 501c3?
Sativacross.org. Yeah, SATIVACROSS.org. We're recognized by the federal government for our work and by the legislature.
All right, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, committee members. For the public record, name and address is anonymous. Under these new bylaws, these new amended bylaws, I want to make sure that I don't violate these rules, so I will make sure I stay at the podium. However, I will choose to address the committee from this side of the podium. And the first thing I want to say is, I want to speak to the residents, the people who come here, who actually listen.
Sir, when you're at the podium, you are addressing the
Through the chair,
You're not addressing the audience. You're addressing the township.
I'm addressing the Township Committee. That's how I opened up my statements. I'm going to address the Township Committee on this side of the podium. And the first thing I would like to say is, we keep referring to this as the podium. And this is not a podium. That's a podium. Look up the definition of a podium. A podium is a platform that you stand on to elevate yourself. This is what you call a lectern. So as we have township attorneys or who's, we don't even care enough to use the correct language because words matter. I'm standing at a lectern. They are elevated on a podium. So we can't even get the language right. I refuse to face toward the committee since the committee refuses to answer questions. Since they refuse to have a dialogue, I would rather speak to the residents who take the time out of their day to come to a meeting, because I know you're willing to listen. And I'd like to start off by saying thank you to the residents of Cranford for allowing me to come speak at your public meeting.
Speaking to the township committee, not the audience. We are welcome to speak to them in the hallway after the meeting.
So the chair, through the chair to the chair, doesn't even want me to address the community. How many more rules do you want to apply to my public comment? Last meeting, the committee has already shown that they're not even willing to answer how their day was. The only elected official who was willing to answer how their day was Commissioner Black. And I commend her for at least answering how her day was. Although through her statements, she started to say something along the lines of, I think I can speak for everybody up here, but why is Commissioner Black speaking for anyone up there but herself? Who are these people? Who are these people that are in my shadow? These people that want you to operate like drones, like machines. Because the nuts and the gears and the bolts of the mechanism of government that constantly tries to restrict your movements, your freedoms, tell you where you can talk, when you can talk, who you can talk to, when you should talk to them, where you can talk to them, why you should talk to them. I refuse to look at a committee who refuses to answer questions, for residents who come out and take the time to ask questions. And again, the reason why I thank the residents of Cranford is because these meetings belong to them. I have to be careful with my wording because I don't want to be stopped again. I don't want to be stopped in mid-statement. If the committee ignores the members of the public, we ignore the committee. What's happening in Cranford is happening all over New Jersey. Committee boards such as this board behind me is not a censorship board. Their job is not to censor speech. Their job is not to determine what you should be saying and when you should be saying it. And this is a problem. This is a problem that's taking place all over New Jersey. And it's a big problem. We continue to censor speech. Yes, I would like 30 seconds restored to the interruptions, please. Well, with that being said, I want to thank all of the residents, and I want you to think about whether you disagree with something or not and realize that that is not the issue at hand. The issue is whether you believe that this committee should be able to censor your speech. If you believe in voicing your opinion and being able to do it freely, well, then you're on our side.
Hi, Gary Morris, Fanwood. I have really good news. I can't dance. You could ask my wife. I can't dance. I can't sing. And when I try, it's ugly. I find it interesting as that music was playing, you guys could not communicate with each other, right? Like you couldn't tell what, like you guys were saying stuff. They couldn't hear you. You couldn't communicate with law enforcement. And yet 4 out of 5 of you went to a protest where you're encouraging people to blow whistles at federal agents who are trying to do their jobs, just like you're doing your jobs here. You literally just said a thing about no whistles, which is ironic. That's what people are doing. Imagine law enforcement being followed in our town with whistles when they're trying to say something to each other. Be careful, that guy might have a weapon, this, that. And whistles are being blown in their ears and they're getting close to them. It's wrong. Dr. Curran, have you had a chance to watch your rant at the end of the last meeting? You blamed Cranford's budget problems on a privately funded ballroom being constructed in Washington. In hindsight, does that make any sense at all? You stated something about guns that I still don't even understand. And again, I don't get it. So one of the things I want to draw attention to that I've been doing in my own hometown of Fanwood is strange political donations. I happen to run across a few here. The Cranford Democratic Committee donated $12,000 to Prunty and Curran on November 11th, 2025. That was over a week after the election. What the frick is that money for? Then, oddly enough, a union, a carpenters union out of Philadelphia, donated $13,000 to the Cranford Democratic Committee, the municipal committee, on December 12th to replace that money. What was $12,000 needed for after an election? I have no idea. I'd love to hear from you to find out what that's about. If that was to repay a loan, the loan theoretically has to also be reported, and I don't believe it was. I could be wrong. You could correct me. Again, why did Ryan Cooper, the chairman of the Democratic Committee, donate over $400 to the Cranford Democratic Committee, only to have the Democrat members up here who were supported by that money give Mr. Cooper's law firm a contract for nearly $70,000 after the election. Does that sound, maybe it's legal, maybe it's not, I don't know. But I know one thing, man. I know one thing. It's not ethical. All right? Sometimes there's something that's a higher standard. You want public trust. And that's betraying the public trust when you have these shady things where people are donating or groups are donating thousands and thousands of dollars. It makes it impossible for somebody like a Will Thilly to run independently. So he has to do alternative things. And you saw what happens there. I don't necessarily even like the music he had or anything like that, but I agree with his right to do that. Incidentally, love to know this. Do you believe this land is stolen? Out of curiosity. Because it actually isn't. It wasn't stolen. It was actually bought by the English. And then it was actually stolen in the Revolutionary War, which is kind of odd. And finally, maybe I'm the only one who sees this, but I think that's rather disrespectful to the Native Americans, is having the American flag right in front of their mural. Maybe you guys don't notice it. I noticed it. I thought that was odd. It's actually the only flag that's blocking the mural, basically. And you're blocking the Native Americans with the American flag. So you're literally saluting the American flag in front of the Native Americans. Just thought I'd point that out to you. Again, the whole thing with the whistles. I heard there's a whistle party where people are going to be making packs of whistles in this town. I don't know what that's about. Again, the whistle thing is highly distractive, as you said, even with the music. So just keep that in mind. What you're supporting is lack of communication for people trying to do their jobs. Thank you.
For the record, I'm speaking to myself. For Mr. Morris, it's very easy to just put figures and information and go into a sentence, make accusations, throw down any other public comments.
Tommy Sinowitz, 418 Casino Avenue. I've been here before and I've seen all the stuff that happens, and I just wrote some notes before, but basically I'm really tired of these guys, Will Thilly and his pals there. They're like lame attempt at trying to use humor and absurdity to bring issue to political issues. I think he's trying to channel like the spirits of Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin, but all he's really doing is leaving a stale and rancid smell, kind of like a fart of a bad imitation of an Andy Kaufman impersonator. Maybe he and his cohorts think they're bringing some kind of theater of the absurd to these proceedings. The real absurdity is they're claiming they're not being heard, and that their First Amendment rights are being infringed upon. They're claiming to be ignored, but they're just acting ignorant. They're claiming their First Amendment rights are being trampled, but they use loud music and disruption to infringe on the rights of the rest of us. I'm sure they think they're clever and edgy and funny, but their shtick is just tired and juvenile. It seems more like an insatiable clamoring for attention than anything else. Hopefully they'll find their attention somewhere, but they really shouldn't be looking for it here. Thank you. And as far as the whistles, that guy is still here, but they're not intended to be blown at Cranford Police Department. They're intended to be used if federal militia known as ICE. I'm talking about the whistle, your whistle party. An ad for that today. Sorry. At any rate, sorry, the whistles are not intended to be blown at Cranford Police Department. They're intended to be used to warn people, notify people that there may be ICE agents nearby and to be aware of that. That's all. Thank you. No.
I would like to address the Second Amendment issue. You know, I believe strongly in the Second Amendment. I'm an owner, like I said last time, and I think it should be applied equally to all American citizens. When our militia can show up at state houses in Michigan and other places and not have anybody bother them, but somebody can carry a concealed weapon illegally and be shot with that, and then say, oh, you pulled your weapon when the evidence is clearly not there. In terms of the whistles, that's actually a First Amendment right, so I think we should all know that. We should all really understand that calling out and alerting people to police in neighborhoods is a First Amendment right. When I was a police officer, we regularly heard people, you know, 5-0, and that was something we had to deal with, and we worked our way around it. When you have a federal law enforcement agency that's going around shooting people, charging them, and then having had those charges dropped in Michigan, in Chicago, in multiple places based on video evidence, the Department of Justice has dropped charges against federal law enforcement agents for shooting people because they didn't do it legally. So I believe strongly in law enforcement. I support law enforcement. I'm that's not my opinion. If you want to come up and speak, you're more than welcome. And I'm welcome to speak.
Excuse me, don't shout from the.
You're welcome to come up to the podium, to the lectern and get your 5 minutes. It is not in my opinion, it is actually video evidence. I watched it today. The Department of Justice, it's not my opinion, it's the Department of Justice's opinion to do that. So you all come here, you talk about First Amendment rights, and then when it doesn't fit your bill, you don't like it. When you talk about people taking money, that's actually terrible. When you look at
It actually is.
It is. When you look at the amount of money that the federal government is taking from foreign countries, from foreign nations. So we're here to do Cranford's business, and you guys want us to pretend that there's somebody here that we're infringing on your rights, but that's not true. So you can have any 5 minutes.
No? John Sobosinski, 32 Iroquois Road. You know, my wife and my children told me, Dad, don't go to those meetings. Just don't embarrass the family. And I'm like, huh? And then I hear the gentleman that just spoke before me. I'm like, I've been a resident since 1986. I've just recently started saying, hey, it's interesting to come to these meetings to see what's going on in our town. I have no political motive. I'm not friends, as the gentleman before me spoke, or part of a group. I don't even know these people. I told my wife I want to come out. I think it's very interesting. I care about Cranford. I care about, my kids still live here. Some of my 8 kids live here, and they're raising a family here. Cranford is a great town, and I have all the right in the world to sit here and not be looked at or be talked about that I'm associated with a group. It's ridiculous. A lot of division I'm noticing, and maybe my wife and kids were right, but I'm going to kind of keep coming out and speaking when I feel like there are some things within Cranford that need to be improved, or to talk about what's great and give, compliments to whoever, whether it's police officers, whether it's township committee, or whether it's the residents. But I'm kind of confused as to how, even what you said, Mr. Curran, that kind of we're looking at, like I'm just came here to be a good resident. And, you can be as political as the residents, and I'm not understanding it. That's all. Thank you.
You are always welcome to attend a township meeting. Signed in, your address and everything. Thank you. Say it. Roll call, Commissioner Black. Commissioner Andrews.
Yes.
Commissioner Kerr. Secretary Gallo.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert. Yes. All we, ordinance number 2026. And ordinance amending Article 3, Section 1, Chapter 4, revised ordinance of the town.
Put in here so they don't hear me.
Yes, sir.
All right, so what's up, guys? Give me a minute here. All right, so that concludes public comments for the evening. That was a little bit of a different approach this time. They didn't all go to side and just run away. But Will was removed from the meeting. He was not removed from the building. He was just removed for the remainder of the meeting for the council chambers. Thank you, Rami. And you see, even as I spoke within the confinements of these amended rules, at every possible word that could have made it sound like I was addressing the residents as opposed to through the chair, even though I made a statement right off the bat saying that I would be addressing the committee, but on this side of the podium. So I'll have to watch that back and just, words matter with stuff. And that's why I find it very funny that everyone is referring to the lectern as a podium. It says in the bylaws, you cannot step away from the podium. That's a lectern. Who are these township attorneys that write these kinds of things? And they don't even use the correct words, right? If you say to somebody, I'm so angry, I'm going to kill you, right? But you meant, I'm so angry, I want to go nuts, right? Well, you threatened them. You threatened their life at that point because you said, I'm so angry, I'm going to kill you. Words matter. So when they create these bylaws and they use the language of podium, right? The mischaracterization of podium as opposed to lectern, these lawyers don't even know what they're talking about. How would that look in a court of law? The only podium in that room is the elevated platform that they all speak on from behind the dais. We speak at a lectern. It's wild how these things are lost on them. But so that's it for the night. I was gonna go to Summit. They have a meeting tonight, but I'm tired. I had a long work day, and I kind of just want to go home and just cuddle with the cat and just have a little bit of me time. Go home, take a bong rip, and just have the cat sit on my lap and watch some trash TV for the rest of the night. That's about where I'm at with things. Yeah, so I guess for you guys who are still watching and listening, something to look forward to or just pay mind to in the future. I want to start. Oh, wait, here, Rami got the definition. A lectern is a tall, slanted stand used to hold the speaker's notes or books, while a podium is a raised platform upon which a person stands. This is Randall. What's up, brother? Yeah. So there's this mischaracterization of podium, but it's a lectern. So as far as I'm concerned, they need to go back and rewrite their bylaws and actually use the proper terminology. Use the proper terminology, you know? But that's what your good tax dollars get here in Cranford. You get lawyers who don't even know how to use the proper language. They know leaving the podium. Everyone's calling it a podium. This is probably the fourth or fifth meeting I've been to here in Cranford, and everyone refers to the lectern as a podium. It's just a common mischaracterization. But in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the court, words mean things. So they amended their bylaws and said you can't leave something that doesn't even exist for the speaker. We don't stand on an elevated platform. We don't speak on a podium. We're not at a podium. Oh, that's funny, right? Yeah, like, I knew that from the first time they said they were going to amend their bylaws. I'm like, this is great. Everybody keeps calling it a podium. I'm just going to let this one go for now. You know, sometimes you just hold little things in your pocket, whether it be your front pocket or your back pocket. I was just holding that one in my back pocket until the time felt right. But I'll have to go back and I'll have to watch the way that the public access recording picked up, you know, the camera angle, because this is what I got on the back of my shirt. You ignore us, ... We will ignore you. The whole idea of the dance party protest, in my opinion, the way I see it is it's a light-hearted way of trying to enjoy life while protesting. I mean, there is probably a million different ways to protest. I understand that, but probably none as lighthearted and as peaceful as the dance party protest is. We're not asking for you to like it. We're not asking for you to enjoy it. We're asking for your rights to be preserved, to disagree with it. They don't even know that they're on our side, right? You decide that you want government to start limiting someone else's expression. If that's how you want to be, what are you going to do the day that they decide to limit your expression? See, now a lot of people don't realize that what's actually happening here in Cranford is they are targeting their political opponent. Will Thilly was an independent candidate at the last election. And do you know how many votes Will got? 1,776. Over 1,700 people. But yes, 1,776. The year this country was born. And as we deal with these free speech restriction issues, people seem to forget that the issue is not, do you like it or do you not like it? That's not the issue. The issue is you have to be able to support things you disagree with. You don't have to like it, right? In that gray area of conflict, where we as humans constantly seek, you know, conflict, disagreement. No, I don't like it. I do like it. I don't. It's not even about whether you like it. It's just your simple right to be able to express yourself as you choose. The speaker cannot disrupt their own speaking time. The speaker cannot disrupt the meeting during his own speaking time. Does that make sense to you guys? But they seem to not understand this. They seem to not understand it. Huntington says, Rami, we know you just Googled the definitions. I do this shit all the time. Somebody at work told me that you're being snarky. I have no problem admitting this. I'm like, snarky? Like, what the hell does snarky mean? I had to go look it up. I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm a little snarky. That's fine. I don't disagree. When the country declares war on another country, the government is on an alert footing as though the captain is under duress. On my way in the Navy knows what anyone in the Navy knows what I mean. Yeah. So with that being said, that pretty much concludes it for the evening. I'm going to wrap things up and go home and hang out with the cat for a little bit. I'm very tired. Very tired. I have to watch my public comment back and see how it went, because a lot of times I'm not even able to like perceive it in the moment of how it appears or anything like that. I just shoot from the hip side like I do every time. You guys know that. Oh, that's what I wanted to say before I read Rami's definition of a lectern or a podium. I released the video of me speaking at the last Cranford meeting, just the video itself, no production, no, editing, no story, the way I've been doing it with my videos. I wanted to see how that video would perform. And it did extremely well, as just a regular video with no like fancy thumbnail or anything like that. I think I posted it maybe about 30 hours ago at this point. I want to say it's like over 5,000 views. It's a little bit more than the videos that I get that I spend a lot of time on, so I wanted to do that as a test to just kind of gauge, the way all that works out. So what I'm trying to say is maybe in the future, what I might do every now and then is just post a public comment of mine while also making the video. Of course, I'm not going to stop doing that. I like doing that. But maybe every now and then just release one of my public comments by itself. And because I did get a lot of new subscribers from that last video. Like I said, I only posted it like 30 hours ago, and I got like 45 new subscribers just from that one video. So I'll have to dabble around with that. I'll have to play around with that a little bit. But don't worry, guys. I'm not going to leave you hanging on the cool productions of the videos that I've been doing. I do enjoy doing it. Let's read a couple comments before I end this. Let's see here. What do we got? Mandela effect. Damn, I missed it. Ranger, yes, you missed it, brother. I like Ranger. He's not afraid to talk shit to me. Every now and then, I like people that talk shit. People that talk shit, you're my kind of people. And the people who are always supportive, I appreciate that so much. But yeah, I don't care when people talk shit about my stuff. I enjoy it when someone's like, decides they're going to tell me how it is or whatever. It's fine. If you know what you're doing in life and you know what your mission is and you know what your goal is, there is really nobody ruffling and derailing your course, your trajectory, other people who talk shit or whatever, I always just try to take those moments and just try to tell people, listen, any and all of your opinions are valued on this channel. This is a free speech channel. I welcome the criticism, and people are funny. The second I respond with a response that's very open and inviting, and I thank them for giving some criticism, a lot of times they like roll back their method right away. And they're like, well, I didn't mean it like that, this and that. I'm like, well, I was just saying, I love that you meant it like that you decided to take your time and give me criticism. Now, if you roll back after I say that, that means that you were just trying to invalidate my work, my experience, my whatever. But I welcome people to invalidate it, with anything, it's how we get to the bottom of things. Nobody should be afraid to say what's on their mind, what they think. You think I'm doing a bad job with this or think I'm doing a bad job with that. I'm always open-ended in terms of, taking advice from people and stuff. Ranger said, no rolling back here, old boy. Yeah. Nah, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. He'll talk some shit, and I like it. Those opinions I value the most. As a child, when I would ask my father the definition of a word, he would say, there's a dictionary, go look it up. Huntington, one of my faves. All right, so let's do this. Let's just kind of get this camera packed up, and you guys are going to walk out to my car with me. But yeah, I'm tired, guys. I had a long work day. Time to go home and get some dinner. But let's walk out with me. Walk out with me, will you? I had to go down the hallway because I didn't want to be loud. I didn't want them to hear me while in the meeting. Have a good night. Yeah. Hey, I was just about to end my live stream here. Check it out, guys. I got Will Thilly in the house. What was your thought on what happened tonight? What was your thought?
Oh, well, I'm disappointed the TV 35 cut out all the footage
They did?
of myself at least, yeah. They didn't even show what we did at all, any of my protest. And just cut it out. So that's disappointing. That's why we are forced to make our own recording. That's why I
All
don't
right.
have.
So I didn't realize that. They cut out all his footage on the public access video. Again, man, these are not censorship boards. This isn't about whether you disagree with it or if you like it or if you don't like it. These are not censorship boards. You have to be able to come and express yourself freely. You know, Romney says, "What's up?" My regular viewers love you, Will. Is Will not the greatest? He did so good tonight. I was like, yo, Danzig. It used to be one of my favorite songs growing up. But you guys take care. I was planning on going to Summit, but we need the rest of the night off. I want to go home, make some dinner, hang out with the cat. So with that being said, stay tuned for the next video that'll be coming out. And love all of you guys. Don't be afraid to talk shit to me. I love criticism. All right. Good night, guys. No, I wasn't even sure. Like,
They haven't even